Hi everybody, Charles here. Welcome to Backroads Living. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the Preppers Pre-Election Checklist. Hang in there and we'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back. If you would like to help us with our channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and share us with your social networks. When that bell icon appears, if you'll click that, you'll be notified of all of our videos as we upload them. So again, thank you for being a part of our channel, and we appreciate each and every one of you. On to the video. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over some items that I feel like personally that folks are going to need possibly after this election. We're less than a week away to electing the President of the United States. And with all we've seen in the very short past, there has been a lot of concern surrounding this election. The concern is mainly for the civil unrest that people are thinking are going to take place. And just the last couple of days, we have seen new riots take place in Pennsylvania. A lot of stuff going on that we need to keep our eyes on and keep our ears open. We need to be prepared for things that could take place. Now, my wife and I, we live in a very rural area. I don't have any fear of civil unrest in our immediate surroundings, regardless of the election, who wins or who loses. But there are those of you who live in very dense populated areas, who live in big cities, that this election is going to take a toll on you, and you need to be ready for it. Some of you will be affected, and some of you won't, but it's always better to be prepared. So let's look at some of the things that you're going to need if you live in dense populated areas or some of the big major cities. Things that you possibly would need after this election. Like I said, some of you will be affected, some won't. But those of you who are affected, you're going to need to be ready for a couple of weeks to a month of not getting out of your house and going to the stores. It could be very dangerous for you to get out of your house and go to the stores. So keep that in mind. All right. The first thing you're going to need is water. Always. The first thing you're going to need is water. You need a gallon of water per person per day, just for drinking water. That's recommended. If you are able to cook, if the power is still on, then you need to get extra water. You've got to have water if you're going to cook and eat and survive. I think the survival rate without water is about 3 days. Now, some people could last a little longer, but I think that's the normal survival rate. We've got to have water to survive. Okay, so 1 gallon of water per day per person. You could have a power outage. Very easily could happen if there's a lot of civil unrest and there's a lot of buildings burnt. The power structure could go down with it around your area, not necessarily the whole city, maybe your street, maybe just your community. And it doesn't matter if it's a national emergency or not. If it's affecting you, it's a personal emergency, and you need to be ready for it. So keep that in mind. At least 1 gallon of water per day per person. Okay, have that ready. You need water filters. If something were to happen on a larger scale and you weren't able to get water into your house and you don't have water in your house, then you need to be able to filter water. If you have to go to a pond or to a lake or to a stream to gather water for drinking water, you need to be able to filter that water. You cannot drink that stuff without it being filtered. You can pick these up at Walmart. We picked these up, these Sawyer filters. They filter up to, I think it's 100,000 gallons of water. And we also were able to find these life straw filters. They filter up to 1,000 gallons of water. So we got some of these for each member of our household because you never know. Like I said, we've got water. We've got water sources. We have springs. We have water sources, but you never know what circumstances might arise. And these are things that you need to carry in your vehicles too. If you got out somewhere and you got stranded, you might not have water with you. And this provides you drinking water. The next thing is foods. Now, I'd recommend for a situation like that, if you live in a big city or populated area, because the electricity, like I said, the electricity could very well go out in your area depending on the severity of the crisis. You need foods like dried fruit. You need foods, canned foods. You need foods like beef jerky, those kind of things that does not have to be cooked. Now you can buy canned foods, just like canned fruits. A lot of the soups that you buy in the can does not have to be heated. It just tastes better heated, but you can eat them right out of the can. You can eat just about any of this stuff that you buy like that out of the can. The tunas, the chickens, the beef, any of those soups. And if you've got a way to boil water, if you've got a small camp stove or something and you can boil water with it, you can, if you've got dried soups in the house, something you can just add water to. You can fix foods like that for you to eat, hot foods. But keep stuff on hand that you don't have to have electricity to cook with. Okay. Another thing is we're right here coming into winter. Now this is November, and in a lot of states, in the northern states, it's already getting cold. Be sure you've got coats, beanies or toboggans to keep your head warm. You lose a lot of heat out the top of your head. Jackets, long sleeve shirts and pants, wool socks, adequate shoes or boots to keep your feet warm. If you run out of electricity, you've got to stay warm. And those are things that are, really necessary. You need wool blankets if you can find them. Be sure you've got stuff like that on hand to help keep warm. If you have to huddle together under a wool blanket, at least you can stay warm. So keep that in mind. The next thing is lights. Okay, we have a variety of lights here at our house. We picked up over the last little bit. One of the lights that we used back in, I think it was April, we had a storm come through and it took out the electricity here for 3 days. And we use these little lights like this a lot. They are excellent, as you can see. They put out a lot of light. We were able to pick these up for like $5, I think, when we found them. And you can still find them at places like Walmart and other places. I don't know the exact cost on them, but they are worth their money. These things put out excellent light. And right up there behind me, I think you can see, we have oil lamps. And those are great to have in power outages. They work great. Another thing that we were able to pick up in case you didn't have batteries, we were able to find these hydro lights, and they do work. They're not the best lights on earth, but they will work. In an emergency, they actually power themselves by this cone right here in water, so you don't have to have batteries for that. A small light like this is invaluable if you have to get out and move around through the house back and forth and you don't have a light to carry with you. These are great for your cars to put in your glove boxes also. If you're out and have an emergency, these are great lights to have, and they just run on AAA batteries and they last a long time in those lights. And again, these lights here that I showed you, we have 4 or 5 of these. We can position them throughout the house so we can have light to move back and forth in an emergency like that. So they're just things that they're not real expensive, but they're real super handy to have. We also pick up batteries. These are Sunbeam batteries that we pick up at Dollar Tree. I showed you these yesterday in a 9-volt in that video yesterday. We pick up our D cell, our C cell, our AA, AAA, and very rarely they have them, but when they do, we pick up the 9 volts. So those are always good things to have on hand. When the power went out back in April, I think it was, we had a power inverter. Now these are invaluable. Man, these will save appliances. If you have an 800 watt, which we do not have right now, but we're going to get one within the next day or two. This is a 400 watt. I'm not sure this would run my refrigerator, but an 800 watt would. It might save your food. An 800 watt. We were able to pull our vehicle around behind the house, right at our window where all of our electronics and stuff like that is, and we were able to use our phones. We were able to use our computers and stay in contact with people that we needed to talk to during that time using that 400 watt power inverter. We also have borrowed a generator from my wife's sister, and we were able to save the food in our freezers with that generator. So these things are things to think about. I know everybody doesn't have that right now, and you may not be able to get that right now, but get what you can. Get what you can afford to get, but always get the necessities first, the bare necessities first, which is food and water, and a dry place to stay, okay? So the next thing is, and I don't endorse any kind of violence, but the next thing is self-defense that I'd like to mention right here. As a follower of Christ, if a person persecutes me for the gospel's sake, I'll endure it. I'll endure it gladly. But if just an evil bunch of people decide that they're going to be evil and they're going to try to harm my family, that's just not going to happen as long as I have a breath in my body. It's just not. You need to have some sort of defense for your home. They make pea shooters that shoots peas, and you need to have a pea shooter in peas. They make them in a short one, and they make them in a long one. So whatever your preference is or whatever you have, you need peas for it. They also make these. This is not just handy for splitting firewood, and they're excellent for splitting firewood. Like if you're out and have to start a fire, you can take this and take small limbs from trees, and you can split them with this and make kindling and have excellent firewood with it. And it's also a great defense item if you were to have it. So those are handy things to have. Hopefully you would never, ever, ever in this lifetime have to employ them for self-defense. But if you do it right. Communication. Now, like I said, we were able to get some power into our house using this power inverter and be able to call people and use our internet. But you may also have to be in a position that you can't do that. So we have transistor radios. They run on AA batteries, and they're great for that. Keeps you in the know on what's going on around you. You can you can tune in to your local radio stations and or state radio stations and keep up with what's happening around you using these, if you can depend on what the news tells you. That's the worst part about it, being able to depend on what they tell you. You need tools. And when I'm talking about tools, is I mean stuff to, in a situation where you have no power, you need hand tools. You need things that you can work with, just like kitchen tools. I did a video a few days ago on some items we had picked up at yard sales and thrift stores and things like that, and it had a lot of hand tools in it. You might want to look back over that video. And one of the things that we didn't show was these manual can openers. And I know this might be strange to some of you younger folks, but they make manual can openers. And if the power goes out, you're not going to be able to open the cans with your electric can openers. You're going to have something to open them with. You need can openers, and you need screwdrivers. You need things like that in the house. You may have to repair something while the power's out. You need a hammer. You need nails. You need screws. You need that kind of stuff around the house all the time, regardless, but especially in emergencies. If you have to repair something, you need that stuff. Alcohol and hydrogen peroxide for cuts and bruises and abrasions. You need that stuff. Be sure you've got that put back in your emergency kits. Now, Sandy and I picked up an emergency kit. No, actually, it wasn't an emergency kit. We picked up I found this very odd. It was a dissecting kit that we found at a flea market. Let me show you it. And I would have never thought a dissecting kit for college. I would have never thought that we could turn this into an emergency kit, a first aid kit. But we're going to be able to. And this has everything we would need in a case of scissors, tweezers. These are those knives. I can't think of the terms of them right now. Well, in a few minutes. I told Sandy what it was earlier. But these are those knives that you slice with, like doctors use to cut you open. If you was to have to cut something open to work on it, it's got everything in there you need in that, in that compartment. It had goggles. If you have an emergency where there's smoke, where there's things like that, particles in the air, there's your goggles. It has, can't use that, don't need that. Here's a timer, an adult apron that could be used to cut up into tie strip or anything like that, or you could even use it for a bandage to put over top of something. A lot of stuff in here. Here's vinyl gloves to handle stuff if you needed to handle things that was unclean, and it even come with a light in it. So, that kind of stuff's invaluable when you need it. And there's several things we were able to take out of this that we'll be able to add to our first aid kit. And they're just real handy. Keep your eyes open for stuff like that. You never know what you're going to run across. I hadn't mentioned this in any of our other videos because I hadn't thought of it, because we weren't talking about really trying to put together a first aid kit or anything. But we need a first aid kit of some kind. You need gauze and band-aids, and here's like I said, saline solution to clean wounds. You need tape to tape on your bandages with. Here's muscle rub for people who may have sore muscles. You need band-aids for cuts, small cuts and abrasions. All these things are necessary because you may not be able to get out and go to the drugstore to get any of this stuff. If you're under a lockdown or you're under a emergency where the power's out and you're having a civil unrest in your city, it may be too dangerous to get out and go anywhere and do anything. Keep these things handy, and they may very well save your life. I forgot to mention in our lights. Now, this is a real handy thing to have for your lights when the power goes out, or these head lamps like this. Now, they're great. They keep your hands free if you need to defend yourself or you're needing to carry stuff. Headlamps are wonderful for that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. If you run across this stuff cheap, buy it. Just put it back. Just buy it and put it back. For the first aid kits, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, Tums. You can get the small bottles with the twist tops on them at the store, plastic or glass, doesn't matter, and put you some ibuprofen in it if you're going to have to get out and leave and go somewhere if you don't have room for the whole bottles. One thing I'd recommend if you're in a situation in a city, a big city or an area where there's a lot of civil unrest, is that if you have windows facing the streets or not facing the streets, and you don't have curtains that are adequate to keep somebody from shining a flashlight through your window at night, because nobody has any business in your house at night, regardless of the circumstances. You can take a roll of plastic like this from Walmart. I think this was $10. It's 10 foot by 25 feet. It's 3 mil. A light won't shine to it. You can cut a piece of plastic like that and tape it across the top of your windowsill and just let it hang down to the bottom of it. And you could do several windows with a roll of plastic like this. Just get you some duct tape and tape it right across the top of your windowsill. People won't be able to see through into your home. You don't want people looking in your home at night. It can be very dangerous. There are so many other things that we could talk about. Hygiene, toothbrushes, toothpaste, and stuff like that. But the necessities are water. You've got to have water and food. Be sure you've got that on hand. Find the cheapest you can find right now. If you're struggling with getting this stuff put together, shop the Dollar Trees, shop the discount areas. Find food and water. Find a way. If you can't get water, find a way to filter water. There's ways to filter water. Get on YouTube and look for that. You can filter water with chlorine bleach. It has to be a certain bleach. Which, let me make a note right here. I posted last week in a video that we had purchased some chlorine tablets, some bleach tablets to make bleach with. Now those tablets, after I've researched them, I wouldn't recommend you using those tablets to purify water with them. They are not made from pure chlorine bleach. They're made from another substance, but they will make bleach, and it will be a good cleaning agent. But I wouldn't recommend, because of the different substances in them, I wouldn't recommend purifying water with them, of any of those tablets, the blue or the green. Okay, I had a comment on that. A reader commented on that, and they had researched it and said they didn't think that people should purify their water with it. So I went and researched it as well, and they were correct. So thank you for that heads up. I can't remember who it was commented, but when you see stuff like that, if you see me say something that you think's incorrect, please, by all means, feel free to leave a comment about it. We appreciate that. So anyway, I think that's going to wind it up. I didn't want to be this long, but just some necessities, some things that you need. Let's go over it real quick. Water and a water filter. You need food. You need dried fruits. You need beef jerky. You need canned foods that can be just opened and eat out of the can if you need to. You need shelter. You need warm clothing and warm blankets, especially this time of year. Please have that put back, or if you don't, go to the thrift stores and look for it right now. You need batteries. You need flashlights. You need matches and lighters and that kind of thing, in case you were to have to get in a situation that you had to build a fire. These strikers are good to start fires with, but matches and lighters are so much better if you have them on hand. And you can get all that stuff at the Dollar Tree, matches and lighters and those kind of things. Your self-defense, consider that. You can fix your doors and windows where people can't come in with lumber if you need to. You can fix a door in just about 5 minutes where it can't be opened. You can take a 2x4, a very short 2x4, and screw it to the floor in front of your door. Push it right up against your door and screw it to the floor. And people's not going to kick your door in unless they kick through the glass or something. And if you have a glass door, then you can always, in an emergency situation, you can screw boards across that. And the windows are the same way. Do what you have to protect yourself. Communication, radios, cell phones, those kind of things, keep them charged up. Get you some chargers for your cell phones. Solar chargers are great if you have them, or if you don't and you can afford them, get you some. There's just so much stuff that could be needed, but remember to get the basics. Just remember to get the basics. If you're just now starting, you're probably going to struggle. But do the best you can, and our prayers are with you. So we're going to prepare for the worst, and we're going to hope for the best, and we're going to put our trust in Jesus Christ. He's our Lord. That's where our hope's at. That's where our peace is at. And if we do our part, He'll always do His part. Lo, I'm with you even unto the end of the world. So with that in mind, we'll see you in the next video.